The fact that we are so aware of all these things, to me, means that we are starting to break those old patterns. The first step in any situation when you need to break an old pattern or an old belief or something that is no longer serving us, even on a societal level, is becoming aware. And we're really in the throes of that right now, of becoming aware of everything. And it feels so uncomfortable. Just know you're not alone if you feel that all the time. And hopefully this conversation has given you some comfort and, again, just a new perspective on when it comes to our world and how it's not broken. Maybe it's just in the process of healing itself and it looks really, really messy, but we're on an expansive new path to something we can't even imagine yet. Welcome to Alignment Adventures. This is a podcast where we explore what it means to live a fulfilling, aligning, and present life. I'm your host, Lindsay Tanner, and I am so grateful that you are here. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to Alignment Adventures. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so grateful for your time and energy. And today I want to talk about something that feels a little controversial, but I think is an important perspective to introduce. And I'm going to share my thoughts and opinions as always, and feel free to take away your thoughts and opinions. But with these episodes, I'm just trying to expand the way we look at our world and maybe just seeing it from a different perspective. There's so many things that are so loud through social media, just through normal day-to-day conversations, things we say without even thinking about it, that can really influence our mindset. And I'm just here to shake it up a little bit and maybe give you a different way of viewing things. So today I want to talk about how the world isn't broken. And this is why it feels so controversial, because if you watch the news, if you're on social media, you see thing after thing after thing that makes it feel like we live in the craziest times ever. And it just makes me think, like, I just watched Gladiator 2 with my husband, random. But like, think back to ancient times, like ancient Rome. They did horrific things to each other all the time, and it was considered normal. So even though there are still horrific things going on, just give yourself the perspective of like living in ancient Rome or medieval times, or choose any time in the past. Like, things have progressively been getting better. I choose to think like we're not being barbarians anymore and like putting people in the Colosseum to kill each other. Now, other things are happening. I'm not like diminishing the crazy things that are happening. That is like my fear with this episode, that I'm like just trying to diminish what people are feeling when it comes to horrific things. That's not what I'm doing at all. I'm just giving you an alternate perspective to have when it comes to the world as a whole. Okay. So we have the choice, right? We can turn on the news, we can focus on these things and just like see it all the time. And that is our norm, is we're just infiltrated with things are crazy. The world is ending. Everything's going to SHIT. The conversations we have with people, the things we say, like life is hard, yada, yada, yada. We can choose that path, right? Or you can choose another path where you see the perfection in this world. And let me explain, because that is not a word I use lightly, and that is not something I think we should aim for in ourselves. But let me explain what I mean by perfection. Just take a moment to consider how we are the perfect distance from the sun, for the sun to give us enough energy so we can grow things, we can have ecosystems, we can grow our food, we can grow plants, the trees that give us oxygen, all of that without scorching us, right? It's not too far away and it's not too close. It's the perfect distance. And we are just delicately rotating around this ball of fire, this rock that we're on, perfectly, so we can exist here. And the sun rises every day and it sets every day. Also, think about all the things that had to be in place for you to exist. Even going back to like your great-great-great-grandparents, like the things that had to happen for them to meet, for them to get together, for you to exist right now. Those things are perfection. They happened perfectly for you to exist right now. This earth is in a perfect location for us to exist on this home that we all share right now. Another example, and I'm just in awe of this, especially because it's happening to me right now, is how we create the perfect conditions to grow life and how the heart starts beating just a few weeks, I think it is, after conception, and just the magic of our body knowing what to do perfectly. Of course, it doesn't always happen that way. I've had experience with that this year. But in this instance, it's happening perfectly. It happened perfectly for you to exist too, to build all the intricate parts of our body. So we are here now as a human. We had our anatomy scan last week. And it's just always so mind-blowing to see all the intricate parts of a human body that my body has grown. I'm just like, wow, that is so cool. So what I'm listing here are things to just be in awe of. So like I mentioned before, we have the choice. We can choose to tune in to all the things going wrong in the world, all the things we perceive as wrong in the world, or we can tune into awe of how nature, of how this world is working to support us every single day, whether it is just like our position in the universe or creating new life or the air that we breathe or the house that you live in or the things that work out every single day so you can live your day. Like, just be in awe. This reminds me, I just saw a friend of mine, she posted that she was going on a walk and she was looking for magic. Like, it's just that perspective change. When you start to look for magic, you see it. And she saw all these beautiful things, from a rainbow to a baby owl to like these blooming flowers to all these different things in our walk, just because she was intentionally looking for it. So I'm just here to help you reframe that mindset from our world is broken to our world is perfectly made for us. The way that nature is set up is perfectly made for us to thrive and survive in it. And yes, there are going to be sad things that continue to keep happening, and we can process those and feel them. But getting into that mindset of our world's broken, what is wrong, blah, 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 is just a dangerous place to stay, because then you're going to start seeing more and more and more of that. It's a slippery slope, like I always say, a spiral you can go down into all the things that are perceivably wrong in this world. There's a lot. I'm sure you could have a whole huge book of things that you think are wrong in this world right now. I encourage you to do the opposite. Think of a whole long book of things that are working out perfectly for you right now. They work out all the time for you, every single day, and the magic and the beauty that you are creating in your life. Like I said, I'm not saying scary, sad, horrible things aren't going to happen. They're going to continue to happen, but don't let that rob you from your overall beautiful life experience that you're having right now and all those little beautiful moments in between. And when you think about it, there are so many more things that are working out in our favor than there are things that aren't working out in your favor. I know it may seem like the other way. And again, that's a perception, right? It may seem like everything's against you right now. But if you stop, slow down, tune in, make a list of all the things that are working out for you, the things that we take for granted every single day, like our position in the universe, the sun being exactly where it is, photosynthesis happening so we can breathe oxygen, your dishwasher working, running into the right people on the right day to get a certain message, whatever it may be, conversations that you have. So many more things are working out than the things that aren't working out. It's just a perception shift. The things that aren't working out right now are very loud and grabbing for a lot of our attention. But the beautiful thing is you have free will over your attention and where you place it. So delete the social media apps if you need to, change the channel if you need to, leave a conversation if you need to protect your peace and protect your perspective. Because you create your reality, like we say all the time. When am I going to get these shirts made? Because we need shirts, we need hats, tattooed on my body. We create our reality with what we focus on. My last disclaimer on this, because I feel like I'm overthinking it, because I don't want to be like toxic positive, which that's a whole episode we could do too. I'm not being toxic positive. There are things that are going to happen that you're going to have to process. I've had a lot of sad things happen this year too, and I've had to process them. I've allowed myself to feel them. And I now feel like I'm in such a stronger, steadier, more beautiful place now. And I choose every single day, I make a list of the beautiful things I want to focus on. There are things that happen every single day that could annoy me or anger me or sadden me. And I acknowledge them when I need to, and then I focus on something else that brings me joy or feels aligning or feels expansive. It's not about necessarily invalidating those things. It's about feeling what you need to in the moment and coming back to the things that are working out. There are so many more things working out perfectly than there are things that are not working out perfectly. I believe that. That is my perspective that I choose to have. You can choose to have it as well if it serves you. And I think this connects to a bigger conversation we can have on here when it comes to like religion and beliefs like that. You can call it God, you can call it source, you can call it whatever you want to. But there is this divine intelligence, something that is orchestrating this perfectness of the world that has created this reality so we can function and thrive in it. I have no doubt of that. I don't know exactly what it is or what it looks like, but I know there is this force that we're all connected to. We're all a part of it. We're all a part of it that is helping things function and work out in a way that is way more magical and spectacular than we could ever imagine. And just being in awe of that force and slowing down and tuning into that and acknowledging that there are beautiful things happening is just great for your mental health and overall well-being. I just feel like I see so many people getting stuck in that loop of like, everything's going wrong, the world's going to SHIT, the world's broken, everything's broken. If you choose to have that mindset, that's what you're going to see. That's such a disconnected place to live from, just disconnected from all the beauty and magic happening, disconnected from yourself, from your own intuition. And when you take the time to reconnect, like it changes everything. It really changes everything. All right, this is Lindsay from Another Time and Space. You can probably tell from the video if you're watching on YouTube. As I was editing this specific episode, I kept having further points to the conversation come to my mind. And I'm like, oh, I wish I would have said that. So let me add a few more points to this conversation. Again, to just expand your perspective if you feel like you're someone who can easily fall into that story of the world is broken, the world is crazy. Another example that I see for the opposite is I feel like I see so many people living their true expression nowadays. And what I mean by this, and again, this all comes with so many caveats here, but even just on social media or people I follow on YouTube, there are so many people living more consciously. They're just more aware of their impact and their energy and their vibration, and they're just living a life in alignment like I talk about here all the time. I just feel like I'm seeing that more and more and more. And to me, that is proof that this world isn't broken, that this world is expanding, that this world is changing and evolving. And that's another point I want to add. So many of the spiritual teachers that I love to listen to and that I resonate with talk about how the world is changing and evolving. I mean, it always has, but especially right now, so fast. And with that comes chaos. So all these things that make it seem like the world is totally broken and just going to HELL is really just this chaos that is happening from our world changing so rapidly. And these systems are just kind of crumbling and falling away. Like we see that all the time on the news. Things are rapidly changing, and it can be really scary because our minds love to keep doing things the way that they've been doing them. Our minds sometimes don't like change. I'm the weird person who likes change over here. It depends on the situation, but for the most part, I love change. But for most people, they don't. So that can be really scary for the mind when you're seeing all of these things crumbling in our society when really it's just making space for the new. That is an explanation for the chaos that resonates with me, and I can feel that in my soul, that we are in such an interesting time and space in this universe, on this earth. And I think to add to that, because so many people are aware of all the craziness going on, that awareness is bringing like truth to so many people. Like so many people are just aware of what's really happening in this world, which I don't know, there's so many truths out there that it's a hard one too. But like the fact that we are so aware of all these things, to me, means that we are starting to break those old patterns. The first step in any situation when you need to break an old pattern or an old belief or something that is no longer serving us, even on a societal level, is becoming aware. And we're really in the throes of that right now, of becoming aware of everything. And it feels so uncomfortable. Just know you're not alone if you feel that all the time. And hopefully this conversation has given you some comfort. And again, just a new perspective on when it comes to our world and how it's not broken. Maybe it's just in the process of healing itself and it looks really, really messy, but we're on an expansive new path to something we can't even imagine yet. So I got the idea for this episode from a book I'm currently very slowly reading that I got from the thrift store. It is Wisdom of the Ages by Wayne Dyer. So I just want to read a little passage from this book. It's a really interesting how it's set up. It's just a bunch of different excerpts, I guess you can say, from different thought leaders like Jesus, Buddha, who else is in here? Confucius, Rumi, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, just all these different people that have kind of been, again, thought leaders, philosophers, artists of the ages. And he's taken little excerpts from their work and just kind of dissected it. And I just read one every single night. I've been trying to. I've been slowly working my way through this. So let me read you a little excerpt from the perfection passage. That's where I got the idea for this episode. So he says, rather than seeing ourselves as connected to this world, we often feel we are in it to push it around and make it conform to us. Rather than accepting it, we twist it to feed our ego, creating havoc and imbalance in what we then call imperfection. Then the ultimate irony, we blame God, so he uses God here, but you could use any word, for the very conditions we create out of the perfection that is our gift from God. The poet says, be at peace. Do not judge the world. Observe it. Don't try to straighten it out. Accept the perfection of its crookedness and live in harmony with it. Don't manufacture problems. Be in awe of the perfection of it all. So true. I know I do that myself, like on a smaller scale in my life. Like I can sometimes create problems out of nothing just by creating these stories in my head of what I think someone thinks or what I think is going to happen. Instead, we can slow down and just, it's about accepting, right? Accepting the way things are, especially when it comes to nature and the way the world is set up, accepting it. And then moving from there, focusing on what you can control and releasing what you can't control, something we mention all the time. Another thing that I really like about this book is that after he kind of dissects the passage and gives his thoughts, he gives like 2 or 3, 4 action steps that you can incorporate into your life to just help change your perspective to have a more aligning, present, fulfilling perspective, which we're all about over here. I'll give you some of the action steps he has in here. Give yourself a gift of 5 minutes of contemplation and awe of everything you see around you. Go outside and turn your attention to the many miracles around you. This 5-minute-a-day regimen of appreciation and gratitude will help you to focus your life in awe. Allow the word perfection to be a part of your vocabulary. This is very interesting to me because I feel like perfectionism or perfection can be a very heavy word. So let's see what he has to say. From the Prince of Peace, be ye perfect, even as your Father, which is in heaven, is perfect. You don't always have to perceive yourself in the world from this perspective of judging it and trying to improve it. Enjoying the perfection is one way to apply this wisdom of the ages. So I love that too. Instead of trying to always change things and make them better, like just accepting them the way they are. And again, focusing on what you can control. Remind yourself that you are just as much of a miracle as the dew, lark, and a snail. You, in fact, are what God is doing. Trust in the value of your own divinity as well as the connection to nature. Seeing God's work every place will be your reward. Now, this can be another episode too. I feel like using the word God feels heavy to me sometimes, and there's a lot to uncover there. So use any word to place in there. But like we're just talking about that divine energy that has created this reality, that has created this world that is working out perfectly for us. It's just about slowing down and noticing it. Okay, the last thing I want to do in this episode, and this is just something new. I got the idea from another YouTuber that I watch. I love her podcast, Kaylin Nicholson, and I think her podcast is called The Coffee Talk with Kaylin, maybe. I'll link it below. I just love her perspective and her energy. Like I said, I watch YouTube more than anything else nowadays. But she'll draw a card from one of her oracle decks and just kind of like talk about that for a little bit. So I'm going to do the same. I like to shuffle it. I do this not as often as I would like to. I've kind of gotten out of the habit, but I used to do it every new moon and full moon and then just place the card somewhere that I see it every day, because this feels like, I don't know, call it what you want. Divine messages from your intuition. How I do it is I just shuffle the cards and pick one that feels intuitively right to me. And I freaking love this deck. Okay, so let's see. Face your fears. Interesting one for this episode. Release the power of fear. Definitely connects to what we're talking about. Hopefully you guys can see that. If not, I will insert a picture. If you're watching on YouTube, you can look there. Just the artwork on these are so beautiful. This is a deck I got from Sedona, by the way. It's called Mystical Wisdom, but I've seen it a lot of places. All right, let's read the passage from the book really quick. What I love about oracle decks is, unlike tarot cards, which is a whole other thing to itself that I kind of understand, but probably not as deep as I could. Oracle decks, they just have lighthearted, beautiful messages for your day to day. And there's usually a booklet that goes along with it that can explain the message even further. Sometimes I just intuitively read into what the message is. Like this very much connects to what we're talking about today. Releasing your fear. Like we can live in such a fear mentality. That's what that mentality where the world is broken. That's a fear mentality. Like everything's broken. Everything is going wrong. The world is crazy. Everything is sad and messed up. That is such a fear mentality. And it's easy to get into that mentality. But you have the choice to release it. So let's see what the book has to say as well. Face your fears. Release the power of fear. Everyone experiences fear in some way. To triumph over your fear, you need to understand it. And only then you can release its power over you. Fear has a subtle way of showing you the dark side of yourself, immobilizing you, and stealing your freedom and courage. Fear can also show you that something is worth fighting for and is an opportunity to build courage and a brave heart. The magic of nature and your angels will encourage you to overcome fear of the things like change, loneliness, and the unknown. You can be brave to face these challenges. The mantra is, I have courage to overcome my fears. So let that be the last message for you as we end this conversation that hopefully served you in some way. I'm just sharing my perspective over here. These are things that help me, that serve me to help live a more aligning, fulfilling, and present life. And we all have that choice on how we want to live our life. We can choose to focus on the things that have a lot of fear in them, or to focus on the things that have a lot of love in them, which is another episode I want to do, talking about how everything is either fear or love. So let me know if you're interested in that. I'm sending you all so much love. If you are new here, please subscribe. We have new episodes about every other week. And I appreciate it so much when you support the podcast by sharing it with a friend, leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or just sharing your thoughts with me over on Instagram. Thank you so much for taking the time and tuning into this episode and supporting the podcast in any way that you can. I'm sending you all so much love, all the highest vibes, and I'll see you in the next episode.